another unshakable Christian, talking about understanding the 7 characteristics of God. Previous videos is love, but characteristics that make up that superficial love. Love is God, otherwise it is. So by characteristics of God, we are to mimic God, or we can better explore God and for mankind. The understanding. Other videos yet? There are, and I'd encourage you to look before going on with this. To support themselves, you'll get a understanding if you look at them. And you can do that simply by below here or through or Google Plus. So let's begin. We're going to start out by reading. We're taking these 7 out. These are referenced in Revelation. Actual scripture is in chapter 11, and so again, that's chapter. Verse, and there shall come forth out of the stem of Jesse the roots, and the Spirit upon him, the Spirit ending, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick Lord, and he saw none out of his own eyes, nor his own ears. Shall he judge the poor and reprieve? For the meek of the earth with the rod of his mouth lips shall he slay. The wickedness shall be the girdle of. So we see understanding here. Now to look at what is understood. 2 main standing in. You have scholastic understanding and or the community-based. So if scholastic, that meaning that you can take data and that you have the mental capacities to analyze and make decisions to where you can sample. If a battery belongs in I know that a battery has a charge, that's works. If that a car has a battery, car that didn't have a battery couldn't go anywhere. This is said wisdom, doing something creative, doing mankind. Understand to take the data that's in the way it's supposed to be level, and can very easily see it because God created mankind. Our hairs on, and He is the one that set in perfect nature, laws of physics, and people are still for. God has established this. One example of this of running water. Back in those that are sick should bathe, and that they should be put outside until like the hundreds. And started using running water, wipe germs off, getting infection. So it's not understanding. We didn't have that. We hadn't processed. So that's the first category. The second category is finding, understanding God's character and pertains to tying all together and define. So let me be frank to start between understanding, negligent. I know where you're coming from. I can see things where you get the love the center. Negligence, when you where you're coming from, you going to that support you in this decision, support you in this lifestyle, and I will be a partaker to it. Now, me about that. 1 John, way before we go any farther, John, and John, not 1 John, and you go to verse 10. Doctrine is talking about people bring in, and he comes among you and receive him not into your Godspeed if it's a false belief. It says, and bid him Godspeed of his evil works. So there you're standing and negligent. Now, when we're talking about God's perspective, God from, He can identify what you believe, mean that God, what you're doing if you're in sin. The Bible clearly tells us that. But that's going to sit there just without at least giving you of redemption that people get. About understanding. How can we identify that? How can we tie this in? Is when you have the person and the inner man of somebody. And 16 talks of how we as other people, and that verse, turn to it here. Give me 16. It says, be the mind not high thing, men of low estate, be not recompense evil produced of men. As much as liveth in you, live with all men. It has nothing to do with, because you're not really. It has your full, or your any kind of. It's human. It's saying get along, don't uphold the thing, but move and try to live. And if we look at the sense to somebody, if you're with that person, relationship with somebody, with that person, standing again, tolerance, but an then on a plane to where you, and that you can open the, so that they can, when you're understanding, trying to determine your own, It's very important that we our basis of remember, understand the scholastic, the community, or social tied themselves to. The way that they do this is how you set up your presumption what is fact. This is a that goes to the beginning of time on how people approach what's real, what is not real, justified, but it comes down to two concepts. When you're trying to understand how God is very important. The first way of addressing things, God, the ultimate, stops here, no far authority on morals, everything is what has been called. Other one, man determines what truth is through our own rational, different experiences, and this way of thinking are no real understanding because it interprets things differently. Unfortunately, today in our society, we have the word and not God as a supreme being or a man who has set himself in the universe. This makes it very stand another person, God, because based upon a human's right to God and then find the things in the world, make it as a base of, then that's where the even problem. Already established that he going out and doing his miracle. Jesus was God, so among us, and he established that he, the everything else that man was thinking, that to the people to where they his understanding. Pilate asked him, "Are you a king?" Yes, I am a king, but it's not. Then Pilate says, "What is true?" So obviously, the understanding of who Jesus was not there. I say that to say this: a lot of the times, understanding is not understanding God or God understanding. A lot of the times, understanding is to give you with a question. Why do they don't understanding? They could let children with the understanding of God. That's a whole nother discussion. I'm not going to answer that with some biblical stuff, but that the God being able to nation that's ever been, and God take character and everything else that was, and being able to use that in a way, man. That's the understanding. So, wisdom a little bit, but as the differences between the two, those are the two main points. Does this relate? First, God, wisdom about him, and we define truth. And now we didn't have that last week because I knew understanding this week. So guys, combined together, give intuitive for mankind to wisdom. Now, Proverbs is pretty much like wisdom and understanding. When we go to the book of Proverbs, we see several. Pull one right here. This to you. We're going to read Proverbs 6. It says, "Understanding unto him that have it, fools is folly." Data, things understanding, present something to you and use it. Go over to the very next. Let's go to 20. It says, "Wisdom is understanding." You can't. They are bound together. But the eyes of the fool. To say understanding God and God knows. Isaiah, to give you some biblical scriptures to back. It says, "Has thou nothing God, the Lord, the Creator, fainted thought, and there is no understanding. He giveth power to the faint, who might he in strength." The scripture that every weary and get up, not faint. The line is this: God, as we explained, understanding God does not mean that God's going to give you a military answer that you ask very clear and say, God just will not give you mysteries of God. God. He is a foolish, everything goes God. Will there be consequences? Yes, there will be. Yes, there will be. God understands your heart, motivation behind the things that he does. This does not mean that God bless you up even, but this does mean depth and that man cannot go. I'm walking along somebody as walking together that are in a restricted person. Be married to that person, be my best friend, or that person, or that may be my limited understanding because what their emotions are is. God is understanding. Now, try to do is best to understand the motivations, the inner world around us, not being tolerant of sins which will damn a person. We can be loving but well. Understanding it. Those are the first 10. If you haven't, come look at those because they're going to tie. A lot of the stuff in this was this week because understand are very good. There are, and as I said, I'm not going to arguments and stuff. We're going to be talking about this counsel. It's very important. There you go. And wisdom before we, as counsel upon understanding and knowledge upon each other. For this week, I really, if you have any questions, has been said below. Depth study by clicking the Tumblr, which is subscribe, comment, and remember, as your response to dig deeper into the word fully. We are the sheep. The sheep, not the shepherd. Dependent on each other, both are, but it is ultimately your to secure your salvation. Until next week. This